Hi everybody, I'm Pete Cossaboon with the LGBTQ Talk Radio here on the Inquiry Show. So I'm here in Franklin County, Tennessee, where we're having sort of a debacle, I guess I would call it, between the local Gay-Straight Alliance at the Franklin County High School and really the citizenship here. There's a lot of people that are, it seems to be a very polarized situation that's happening here. I'm here with Chris Ball, who is a concerned citizen. So tell me, can you tell me how you really kind of feel about this situation?
Well, I mean, that is a giant question.
I know it is. I'm sorry about that.
So do we have all day?
We do, I think, yes.
Okay. So let me, in brief, tell you how I feel about the situation. And I want to come from this maybe a different way than some of the other people that I've seen responding, because I've seen so much vitriol from both sides of the fence, if you want to call it that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And it saddened me to see this. So, and here's my thing. I believe school should be a safe place for everyone. Okay? In fact, I have children that have graduated from the school, and I have a son still in the school system. So I'm intimately familiar with Franklin County. And it should be a safe place. It should be a safe place for whatever color you are, whatever your sexual orientation is. But I do not believe that clubs of sexual nature should be in a school system. Now, let me also say, I do not believe that clubs of a religious nature should be in a school system. I believe school is for learning arithmetic, science, English, music. I do not believe that school is the place for social engineering, and I think that's what's going on. Now, you mentioned that you have a great organization that helps people come together to a safe place, and that's awesome. If we want to have a free to be chapter building up here, that's great. And I would never ever degrade or talk down or bring violence upon anyone for wanting to do that, okay? But I don't think school is the place for it, because we're talking about children. And whether you're on one side or the other, the people in the middle are children. And I'm sure you agree with me, this is our greatest asset in our country, is our children.
It's our future.
It is. Because you and I have a very finite time left on this earth.
Don't tell me that.
We do. You and I do. And I just hate to see people yelling at kids. And I've seen it. And it disgusts me, frankly.
So is your concern that children that maybe have not made up their decision are going to be influenced by this?
No.
Okay.
That's not my concern at all.
Okay.
Because me as a parent, I influence my children. I've done a very good job of it. So, people are going to be influenced at school by people. We've all gone to school.
Right.
People influenced me. People influenced you. I was not influenced very well. Okay? But then that's not my concern at all. I just told you my real concern. I do not want and I'm just going to bring this out of the top of my hat, I have nothing against Catholics. I don't want a Catholic organization at that school. I don't want a Baptist organization. I don't want a pick the denomination at that school. Just like I do not want a straight gay alliance at the school. I've heard people say, well, this has nothing to do with sex. And that completely dumbfounds me.
Why?
because the very name of it brings about a sexual connotation. The gay, straight alliance.
Well, I will agree with you that gay often, has these very sexual overtones, but to be a gay man, it's not all about gay sex. You know what I mean?
Of course not. And to be a heterosexual man,
right,
it's not all about sex. But let's explore the words gay and straight for just a second,
Okay.
if you'll bear
Let's
with
do
me.
this. I'm very excited.
All right. So, how does one become a straight or a gay man? And you and I are men, so we'll just use men since we're talking. You are a straight man because as a man you are attracted sexually to a woman, correct?
I would say attracted is for a partner.
Correct.
Right.
Sexually, right?
In more ways than sexually.
Okay, but that is
that's semantics.
That is semantics.
Okay.
Okay. And what makes a man gay? Is it because you look at a pair of boots, or you look at a pair of nice shoes, or you look at this and say,
I do kind of like shoes.
okay, well I do too, by the way. That's not. But then what I'm saying is that's not what makes you gay. What makes you gay is your sexual attraction to a gay man, correct?
I wouldn't put the sexual in front of it.
I heard you say that a while ago.
Okay, but I wouldn't put that as like the focal point of it.
It's not, and it's not the focal point of any of our lives is sex. But what we're doing, and I'm glad you brought that point, but what we're doing by saying these words, gay and straight, we are focusing all of our attention
On the sexuality
on the
of it.
sexuality of it. And that's what I disapprove of. For instance, we talk about how we want this club because we want a safe environment for our children. Do we have a gay straight band at Franklin County? The answer is no. So are we saying then that the young men and women, and there have to be, if you just use percentages, what's the percentage in the United States? 10%? Because that's how the gay straight.
That you hear.
Yes, the gay straight alliance started from the 10%, right?
That's the number you hear.
Okay, so let's say it is.
Okay.
And there's 100 people in the band, and I believe there's more than that at Franklin County. That means, if you go by percentage, that 10 of them would be considered gay.
Okay.
Okay. Are they so unsafe that they can't participate in the band?
Okay. I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure that I really, because I don't think that just because you're gay that you're necessarily going to feel unsafe.
But that's when you read the Gay Straight Alliance website, and we can pull it up and read it if you want. It talks about being a safe a safe place for gay and straight people to come together and speak about it. Are we already safe?
Well, some don't feel safe.
But why not?
Well, that's, like they even say that the threat is up to the person receiving the threat to decide whether or not that's a threat. So I can't say that everybody that puts themselves in the LGBTQ community or even in the straight community would say that they feel threatened in any way. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sure, of course, and we're talking in generalities, not in specific cases. I mean, when you start talking about anything, when you get specific, that's different than generalities. Okay, but we don't have a gay straight FFA. We don't have a gay straight pick the club. We don't have that. So, I guess my point is, if gay students, and just by percentages, there has to be gay students in those clubs. Why do we have to have a gay straight club? Why can't we just have a human being club where we all come together?
I think that's really I think that's the whole idea behind that. To me, that's what I would see. But I think that I don't know, because you're a heterosexual man. I don't know that you can really understand. I don't know.
No, I am.
Yeah,
I'm just
assumedly. Sorry, I don't mean to put any labels on you. But So it's just, it's in the eye of or the perception of the person, because I'm not even going to say that if somebody is LGBTQ and they feel threatened, I'm not going to say that they necessarily are threatened, but a threat is in the perception of the receiver. So that simply gives them a safe space in that institution to go to. Does that make sense to you?
And I understand where you're coming from.
Okay.
And I understand that. I hear what you're saying. But why can't we have a free chubby club here in this county?
Well, that's a nonprofit organization. Hopefully we can have
exactly. So my point is, why does it have to be at a school where the very nature of this club has polarized and caused a battlefield with our children in the middle? School, like I said, is for teaching math, science, pick the subject. It's not a social engineering. It's not a social engineering.
You make
place.
me feel a little squishy when you say social engineering, because it's almost as though the idea. I think people might be getting the idea that the LGBTQ community has this agenda as far as, you know, the gender specificity or the sexual preference of the children. And so, you know, what I would really say is that the reason that the GSA is there is because there have been so many instances of, you know, LGBTQ youth really being abused in that space. And so I'm not even sure that this whole concept or this need for this club would be for ever, once there is able to be a human being club. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Now, let me say this. My sons went to this school. My sister-in-law was the SRO officer at this school. And and I could be wrong, I am not the ear of Franklin County, but I've never heard of one instance where somebody wasn't safe.
But again, we get into the whole idea that that's from the receiver, whether or not they feel threatened, and the whole idea that there is such a controversy coming up, and there are so many attacks from each side. There has to have been something underneath there for that to really come to a boil as it is now. Whether it's from an LGBTQ youth's perception that they weren't safe, or whether it was from the perception of someone that's on the other side that feels like there's some unsafety for their children because of this group. So I think that this organization to me is very important for a number of reasons, because number one, it creates a safe space, and number two, it creates the environment for the dialogue. It creates this right now that's happening, that I'm so thrilled that we're able to sit here and have this dialogue. We're not actually at other's throat, like you were saying when you first walked in, how we're able to, like, hey, how you doing? You know, I mean, that's because this is exactly what this is all about. So that's really my idea of those two things, why this is really, really important. That is a great philosophy, but I would have liked to seen some demonstratability, if that's a word, that there was any unsafeness at Franklin County High School. To me, the big problem at Franklin County High School has been gang problems. Now, I am not the end-all be-all, and I'm just telling you what I think, okay? I do not represent anybody but myself. And I heard you say earlier that you like people who speak the truth. Absolutely.
Their truth.
Your truth.
And that's what I'm going to do. So feel free to ask any other questions. You haven't asked me if I'm a Christian. I've noticed that.
Is that relevant?
Of course it is.
Okay.
In my life it is.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think it's relevant in your life. Is it relevant in this? If you feel like it's relevant in this issue,
I don't know. I've seen a lot of attacks upon Christians on Facebook. So evidently it's been made relevant.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's relevant.
Okay. Well, we can definitely go there. I mean, I can say for myself that I was born and raised in America, so I come from a Christian background. I am a spiritual person, not a religious person, but my spirituality, I would say, has a Christian basis. I'm not affiliated with any church, so that's why I guess but if you feel like it's an issue, let's talk about it. So you tell me. Let's start off. How do you think it's being attacked? I mean, I can
How
see
do
the
I think
attacks
Christianity? I don't think Christianity is being attacked in this case whatsoever. But people have brought it up over and over and attacked me. You can look on Facebook and I've said exactly what I've said to you. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is about anything except what should and should not be allowed in a school setting. Mm-hmm. But people have attacked me for being a Christian, and yet I haven't attacked anybody.
Right. Okay. I think where that's coming from is that so many people are so quick to take certain Bible verses and throw those as attackers and say this gives me the right to judge you, like I am here and you are there, and therefore I get to look down upon you because of this, and you are wrong, and they use words like abomination and that type of thing. And I'm not trying to throw this into this interview unless it needs to be.
It's okay.
That's
we can talk about that.
But that's what we're talking about here.
And I've heard that.
Mm-hmm. So I think those recriminations, I guess I would say, against the Christian faith come from a space of people feeling that they're being attacked by that Christian faith. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay.
A Christian would never, a real Christian, would never attack anyone.
I want to shake your hand on that.
Okay. And notice our hands again. The way you said this earlier, we did not burst into flames when you and I shake.
That's right.
A real Christian does not attack anyone. We don't curse anyone. I will tell you what Christ has done for me in my life. If you ask me, I will tell you. Because I am not the same person I was before. And I'm not trying to come at this situation as a, let me rephrase that. I don't want to see anybody attacked or felt made to be less a person because of sexuality. Okay? I think that's wrong. And I think a true Christian would never exclude anyone. Because church is for sinners. Everybody in a church building should be there because you are a sinner.
Right.
And we all are.
Right, and I think that's in an idealized world where a GSA would not be necessary. But I think just the way I take it from the vitriol that's come back and forth, that absolutely is, because take for instance what would happen. How many kids have not asked out their same-sex boyfriend or girlfriend to the prom because they didn't feel comfortable doing it, at a Franklin County high school? That's just a for instance, and that's why I see an organization like this very important, because it brings this issue up. It gives these kids a basis upon which to become their authentic self, if that makes sense.
Now we're getting into a little different subject about dating, but that's okay. I brought my sons up to treat everyone equally. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a white man, which is obvious to you. What's not obvious to you is I'm married to a black woman. I have 3 mixed sons. Okay? So if you want to talk about bigotry and hate, I'm there.
Right.
Okay? My sister, until her early death, was a lesbian. When I found out that I stopped loving her, no. She was still my sister. Did I agree with her choice? And now we're getting into semantics again, but no, I didn't agree with her lifestyle. At the time, I was not a Christian. And I still didn't necessarily agree with it, but I would never, ever, if she had needed something, I would have been there to support her immediately. If you were to, God forbid, choke on something, I wouldn't say, well, I'm not going to help him because he's already said he's gay. That's ridiculous. And I think that's where a lot of people are coming from in this country, in this community, and I want that to stop. But again, I do not believe that a school is the correct place for this club.